Okay, so ready to dive in. Today we're looking at a really crucial event from the 1965 Indo-Pak War. Um, India's very first airstrike on Sargodha Airbase, and this was like Pakistan's most heavily defended airbase at the time.
Yeah, super important moment for sure. And we're going to be focusing mostly on Skyforce2.pdf for this deep dive.
And we really want you to come away from this with, one, like a good understanding of the overall strategy at play here, and also like the human side of this.
Right, the incredible story behind this mission, especially the heroism of squadron leader Ajjamada Devaiah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, to set the stage, right, got to remember this is during the 65 War, which started with Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar.
Right, their whole plan to sneak, like, guerrilla fighters into Kashmir.
Exactly. And well, that was Pakistan's, like, their top-tier airbase, you know, home to their shiny new F-104 Starfighters, courtesy of the U.S.
So state-of-the-art, right?
Oh, yeah, like supersonic interceptors built for pure speed.
Okay, so right away you've got this kind of, like, David and Goliath situation shaping up, because the Indian pilots, they were flying Dassault Mystère IVAs.
Yes, subsonic fighter bombers, bit older, definitely not in the same lead, speed-wise at least.
So the mission objective was, well, pretty straightforward. Take out those F-104s at Sargodha, cripple Pakistan's air superiority.
Yeah, bold move for sure. And right in the thick of it is our squadron leader, Devaiah.
And here's a really interesting thing. He wasn't even originally on the roster for this particular mission, right?
Nope, stepped in last minute. Actually, another pilot couldn't fly.
Wow. Okay, so that just makes what happens next, like, even more incredible.
You're telling me. So Devaiah's up there, right? And he gets intercepted by a Pakistani F-104 piloted by this LT Amjad Hussain. Now, get this, Devaiah, in his Mystère, not only manages to dodge one Sidewinder missile, but two.
Whoa, hold on. Sidewinders, those were like the top-of-the-line air-to-air missiles, right?
Yeah, super advanced for the time, heat-seeking, deadly accurate.
So he dodges two of those.
Two of them. And even with his own plane, like, taking damage, he goes on the offensive and shoots down Hussein's F-104.
No way, seriously?
Yeah, forces the Pakistani pilot to eject. It's, like, insane the level of skill and just pure guts that took.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about, like, ice in your veins. Sadly, though, Devaiah's own plane ends up crashing inside Pakistan, right?
Yeah, real tragic turn. And for a long time, like a good 23 years, he was MIA, missing in action.
23 years. That's like almost a whole generation.
Yeah.
So how did we finally get the full picture of what happened?
So this is where it gets really interesting. This British writer, John Fricker, he was researching his book, Battle for Pakistan, and stumbles across Amjad Hussein's account of the fight.
Oh, wow, the Pakistani pilot he'd shot down.
The one and only. And this discovery, it's what finally led to Devaiah getting the Mahavir Chakra posthumously in 1988.
Wow, posthumously, so like decades later.
Yeah, and he's still the only IAF officer to receive it posthumously, specifically for this mission. That's India's second highest military decoration, by the way, for, you know, just extraordinary bravery in the face of the enemy.
Really puts it into perspective, and the story doesn't even end there. It turns out, years later, they discovered Devaiah's body near Sargodha, buried, like, respectfully, by the local villagers.
Yeah, pretty incredible, right? The IAF, they call them Wings of Fire, and it's like the perfect tribute.
Yeah, completely. So who was this guy, squadron leader Devaiah? Where did he come from?
So he was born in Kodabu, Karnataka back in 1932, joined the IAF in 54, and even served as an instructor for a while.
Wow, so he was passing on his knowledge too.
Yeah, really dedicated to the Air Force. And his wife, Sundari Devaiah, she accepted his Mahavir Chakra in 88.
It's like you said earlier, right? This human element, it really hits home.
Absolutely. And his story, it's still relevant today. Remember that Skyforce movie from 2025?
Yeah.
They had this character, Tabby, loosely based on Devaiah. And there was actually a lot of controversy because some people felt like it, you know, it kind of glossed over his ethnic roots.
Yeah, it goes to show how much his story still resonates with people.
Well, for sure. And back in his hometown, they even renamed a bus stand circle after him in 2009.
Wow, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So beyond the individual heroism here, what was the real strategic impact of this raid on Sargodha?
Well, if you look at what Skyforce2.pdf says, even though the IAF did suffer losses, that attack on Sargodha, it forced Pakistan to really rethink how they were using their F-104s. They had to get a lot more defensive with them, which ultimately limited their ability to, like, really press the attack later in the war.
Oh, interesting. So it kind of shifted the momentum, even if it wasn't like a total knockout blow.
Exactly. But even more than that, I think Devaiah's actions, they became this, like, symbol, you know?
Yeah, like you said earlier, right? That incredible courage going up against those odds. It's almost hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, and there's this quote from the IAF archives that I think sums it up perfectly. It says, "He turned certain death into a legend."
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap things up here, I think we've seen like just how incredibly daring this raid on Sargodha was, going up against a technologically superior Air Force, and of course the just like the unbelievable bravery of Squadron Leader A.B. Devaiah.
Totally. And this is a key part of the 1965 war story, like essential IAF history. It's a powerful reminder of how important human courage is in these kinds of conflicts and how much like a single act of valor can resonate through history.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, here's something for everyone listening to think about.
Yeah.
How do these individual acts of courage, these moments where people face impossible odds, how do they shape history? And how do they become these enduring legacies?
Yeah, think about that in the context of the Wings of Fire, Squadron Leader Devaiah. It's
Yeah.
something to keep in mind long after this deep dive is over.
Definitely. Thanks for listening, everyone.